Hello everyone, I'm Don Pratt, host of a show here on Rogers TV where we give you a perspective of police in your community. Welcome to Policing York Region. Coming up on the show, we're going to have Detective Sergeant Kevin Stoby, and he's going to talk a little bit about frauds within the region. And right now, we have Constable Bussie Wood, a Senior Safety Officer. Bussie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you here. So tell me about your role as Senior Safety Officer. What does that encompass?
So the role of the Senior Safety Officer within York Regional Police is essentially getting out there and helping seniors, sharing information.
Okay.
We work, it's a Monday to Friday, 8 to 4, but we can adjust our shifts accordingly depending on presentations and that.
So you say presentations, you would actually be taking information out into the community?
Absolutely, and that's primarily our role is education and prevention. So on a day-to-day basis, we'll be anywhere within the region. We'll travel wherever. We have all our own logistical equipment, so we just need a room, basically.
So how do you mean your logistical equipment?
Laptop, projector, screen.
So you're one show all ready to go to somebody else's venue?
Absolutely.
They provide you a room, you'll bring the information?
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
That's all we need is a room.
Fantastic.
And then the presentation is essentially keeping our seniors safe. Okay. And within that presentation, there's quite a bit of information actually within that presentation. But it's the same information that we're sharing. I'm actually, I have a partner, Robin Kassam, and we're very fortunate to do a job share role. So I work 1 week and then Robin works the next week. It's been working out very well. It's very fluid. We communicate, we share information, and we book presentations for one another as well. So we try not to have any gaps. And then so within the presentation, we will be speaking about the frauds and the scams. We start out with that. You know, sharing information about our aging population, the numbers within York Region. We're, you know, fast-growing aging population within the region.
Yeah, it certainly is. Yeah.
And then, so, you know, the frauds and scams. They're trying to get information. They prey on seniors or elderly people, you know, because they think that they're vulnerable. And I think what it comes down to is they're just very trusting people.
Sure.
You know, when someone calls and says, I'm coming over to check your water heater, okay, come on over, right? And they're not so apt to asking questions.
They're not expecting to be the victim of the scam.
No, and they're not expecting to be, you know, duped or to be lied to.
Right.
And unfortunately, that's what these people are doing. They are just basically out and out lying, and they will say anything to get their personal information, to confirm a credit card number, you know, calling from the bank. Someone calls from the bank, you just assume that it's the bank calling to confirm things.
Of course.
You know, and they may not be up and aware on, you know, how people do business as far as, you know, the bank would never call and ask for your credit card number. You know, the common one with seniors is the grandparent scam. You know, the grandchild calling, I've been arrested, I need bail, don't call mom and dad, you know, you're the only one I can trust.
Of course.
So, you know, these guys are pulling on their heartstrings to get them to send money. And it's, you know, don't call them, it's, can you send money? Oh, and here's a lawyer, talk to the lawyer and they'll tell you how to send the money.
Right.
And it's, you know,
they're setting you up.
They're absolutely setting you up, and some people are sending money, but I think more often than not these days, they're not. And I hope with our presentation and sharing the information and different, you know, tools of the trade as far as, you know, what to say or what to do, they're sharing that information with their friends that aren't at our presentation. They're sharing with their children, with their neighbors. And so, you know, you hear that call and you think, oh, I think I've heard something about this before. Maybe I shouldn't be so quick to send the money. Right? And, you know, I always say, when in doubt, ask questions. You know, when they say, don't call mom and dad, they'll kill me, you're the only one I can trust, you hang up, that should be your first call to your son or your daughter.
Yes.
Julie just called, she says she's in Montreal, she's been arrested. No, mom, I had breakfast with her. Here's her number, you call her to confirm.
It can be easily resolved, right?
It can be absolutely easily resolved. And we do this presentation also, you know, within retirement homes and senior centers and church groups. We also do it to the workers at all these homes as well, so that if they are aware of all the scams, so, you know, when someone asks the concierge to go for a cab to go to the bank, and, oh, I got to go to the bank, I got to send money, my granddaughter's in jail. We had this where one of the concierge, just through general conversation, asked her, did you actually speak to your granddaughter? Did you call the number where she typically would answer your call? No money was sent. She never left the building. And I think that is fantastic.
Yes.
That just through nice conversation,
Nice
reminders.
to know that other people are watching as well, right?
Absolutely, and that's what we need to do. We need to work together to keep our seniors safe.
You had talked earlier about having relationships with other agencies and that. Can we touch on that?
Sure, yeah. Our community partners is very important.
Okay.
And that we work with CCAC, Community Care Access Center.
Right.
So then all the PSWs, personal support workers that are under them, the nurses at the hospitals as well. Within our job, aside from the presentations, we also do a lot of like phone consultations. So if we're in the office, we have people, whether it's seniors or the community partners, calling and sharing something where seniors either a fraud or a scam, they've been tried to be made fool of or for money, or another thing that we talk about is elder abuse and people, families trying to take over homes or money, neglect, whether it's abuse, financial, physical. There's a lot of issues that seniors are having to deal with, and family dynamics. If a family member is now living with a senior, and it's a win-win because the senior needs a little bit of help, so there's maybe a younger niece or someone helping out, and then maybe that person is going through some troubled times with work in between jobs, so they're helping one another out.
Right.
For the most part, it's a good working relationship in family, but unfortunately, we have calls and circumstances where now, grandma or aunt is getting older, and maybe, I've asked to borrow a bit of money, and I will pay it back, but now as grandma, is getting a bit older, or aunt, whatever it is, and maybe some dementia setting in, maybe there's some Alzheimer's, or maybe they just feel, I'm doing this job, I deserve a bit of money.
Right.
An opportunity presents itself, and unfortunately, people are taking it.
And it's actually turning into abuse.
Absolutely.
Right.
Without a doubt. And they think, I'm helping, I deserve this. It's almost like a payment.
Yeah.
But it's not how it works.
No, it's not. Not unless it's an agreed.
Yes. Right. And then the problem we come up with and that we face is seniors are not willing to speak about this. I can
imagine it would be hard for them to want to report. As you're saying, it's most likely to be a family member, a niece, a daughter, a son.
It is, and my son would never do that. My daughter would never do that.
Of course not.
But unfortunately, it happens on a daily basis. And with that, if it's financial, more often than not, what we want, in any case, we want the abuse to stop.
Of course.
Right? We want it to stop. With financial and that, I kind of reassure them, for the most part, people aren't just being handcuffed and put in jail. They're not going to jail. If it's physical abuse, they might be arrested and they're going to be dealt with. But there's an investigation. People watch TV and they think it happens and, I'm in jail and everything's done. Yeah. Not so easy.
Doesn't quite work that way.
Not so much. Not so quick. So there's that process that we must follow because, I've had people come to me after a presentation and say, I think I'm a victim of this. So the report gets done. It gets sent to our investigators. We have elder abuse investigators at all of our districts. And, they're trained in different things to look for, as far as going to the bank and who has power of attorney and who is able to
So you might actually get these calls from, as you said, the CCAC care worker or a social worker.
A lot of our calls are from them, actually. And you know what? They're a big help to us when we are conducting our investigations because they are the eyes and ears. They're the people that are in the home. Those are the people that are essentially building rapport with our lovely seniors that are out there because they're seeing them on a daily basis. So, we also do presentations to all the workers as well. PSWs and the nurses through CCAC.
An education piece for the workers.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic.
So the point is, it's the same message to whomever, whether it's a worker, a PSW, a nurse, the senior, a family member. We encourage when we do at retirement homes. They're very encouraging to family members to come and hear our presentation because essentially it all comes back to that community role, right?
Yeah, of course.
It becomes a social issue. We get calls that are not necessarily there's not a criminal investigation.
Right.
But with the partnerships that we have and the connections that we have within the community, we're able to say, okay, this is maybe not this, but I have someone that I can connect you with. Maybe it's a social worker.
Okay.
As people are getting older, they're comfortable in their home. They want to stay in their home.
Absolutely, of course it is.
And we're not
that's
in the
probably
business
best place, right?
It is, and we're not in the business of taking people out of the
No,
home.
you're not
But
trying to remove
how
that,
can
no.
you best survive and be happy and healthy where you want to be?
Right.
So with the community partners, it might be a simple assessment with like a CCAC nurse coming in and saying, okay, you qualify for some of these services.
Sure.
Someone to come in and help, whether it's bathing or, meal preparation or cleaning of the house, medication management.
Right.
And again, not a policing thing,
Right.
but I feel very fortunate to be able to have these connections so that when I'm on the phone with these people and they're distraught and they're concerned.
It's nice to be able to help, right?
And that's essentially what we're doing.
And not just to help, but to perhaps create connections or give resources to people where they might need it.
Right, and a new thing that we have in our office is we have 2 social workers that are now working in our office, working
wow.
for York
That's
Regional
great.
Police, and that's
great.
within the last 2 weeks.
Wow.
So we're just sort of getting comfortable with one another, figuring out how we can work together to help one another. As well as there's going to be another senior safety officer position being filled within the next month or so.
Wow.
So I think we're recognizing.
So this is a growing area that's being recognized in York Regional Police.
And you just said it. It's growing and
great.
it's being recognized.
Bussie, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Obviously, for more information on Bussie's team, yrp.ca. We'll be right back.
Investigators with the York Regional Police Major Fraud Unit would like to remind citizens of their rights when it comes to dealing with aggressive door-to-door salespeople. Typically in the warmer months, York Regional Police sees an increase in calls for service in regards to aggressive door-to-door salespeople coming to homes in York Region. Most cases, a person will come to the door and trying to essentially sell or rent home appliances such as furnaces, hot water heaters, air conditioners, and that type of thing. Salespeople will often, have information or have clipboards, have name tags, and appear to be from a legitimate company. In some cases, those companies are legitimate, but in some cases, they are not. And we want to remind homeowners that anything that makes you uncomfortable should be considered a red flag. If a salesperson gets overly aggressive or gets verbally aggressive when you don't want to provide certain information, they may ask for your utility bills. They may want to see gas bills or electricity bills. And oftentimes this makes homeowners very uncomfortable. You always have the right to deny access to that type of information. And you also never have to let someone inside of your home if that makes you uncomfortable. We would always suggest that you ask for photo identification and get the name and the business information from anyone who comes to your door. If something makes you uncomfortable, trust your instincts and contact police immediately if you feel that a criminal offense has taken place. We're also asking anyone with information on any type of door-to-door scams to contact our Major Fraud Unit.
Thank you for that message from YRP, and welcome back to Policing York Region. I have Detective Sergeant Kevin Stoby from the 3 District CIB. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Don. It's great to be here.
Thank you. So, first of all, CIB, 3 District CIB, what is that?
CIB is the Criminal Investigations Bureau, and it's essentially responsible for investigating incidents that can't necessarily be concluded by the officers when they take the incident on the road.
Okay.
So it involves a more in-depth investigation into an incident. The office is split into 2 sides, essentially crimes against persons, where there's a person as a victim, and crimes against property, where property has been taken or stolen.
So for the public's point of view, you're kind of the unseen side of the policing.
We're the unseen side, as it were, yeah.
Right. So we've been talking an awful lot about frauds and the many different types of frauds that we see in the region. Earlier we were talking with Constable Woods about the same thing, that it's out there, it's prevalent. What are some of the things that are going on right now?
There's a number of things that are going on. One of the most important things to remember about frauds is that there's many different sides to it. The people that specialize in this type of thing become very good at it, very efficient at making people feel as though they should give up information or that they're being pushed into a corner and they need to answer particular information. One of the most popular ones right now is the Canada Revenue Agency fraud.
Yes, we've been hearing a lot about that.
Absolutely. In this one in particular, a person alleging themselves to be working with the Canada Revenue Agency contacts an individual and tells them that they're in arrears with respect to their taxes and that they're going to be arrested if they don't make payment right away. The individual is directed to either send cash directly to the individual or into a bank account or to send it electronically.
Right.
A twist on that has become the debit cards or the prepaid gift cards.
Okay. I don't think I've heard of that one.
No, well, nowadays they're asking people to purchase these cards and then just provide the numbers for the cards. So once the cards have been purchased, a Visa card or iTunes cards, what have you, the numbers are provided to this individual by the phone and then they become live.
Oh, wow. So they really do work at refining their tools of the trade.
Absolutely they do.
Right, and they obviously they become very good at it. And some of the things that we hear from residents is, well, I was having a chat with a lady just a couple of weeks ago, and she actually felt humiliated that she had been taken as target. And one of the officers that happened to be in the room reminded her that these people are very good at what they do. Like they practice their jobs.
Sure they do.
Right?
Sure they do. Don, you're good at your job. I'm good at my job. And the people that do this, this is the job that they do.
This is what they do for a living.
Yeah, absolutely. They become very good at it.
So I know with the CRA, and there was a couple of other scams as well. We received one at our own home, and it was actually the police. It showed up as York Regional Police phone number and claiming to be doing collections on behalf of Canada Revenue Services. Is there any validity to any actions like that?
No, none whatsoever.
Right.
York Regional Police doesn't work with Canada Revenue insofar as collecting debts. We don't arrest people for being in arrears of their taxes.
Okay.
If somebody contacts you and says that they're working with York Regional Police or threatens to arrest you for not being up to date on your taxes, it's not York Regional Police. And I would suggest that York Regional Police be contacted right away if that were to happen.
Right. Yeah. Obviously, I mean, again, we're going back to these guys are very good at what they do, and now they've even using technology that's making it look like it's from a different phone number. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, what other kind of frauds are we working with in the region?
One of the other more popular ones nowadays is the secret shopper fraud.
Secret shopper.
Secret shopper. So individuals are being sent a check and being solicited either by email or by telephone to take this check and deposit it into their bank account, and to then go to a financial services institution and transfer money to an individual or to an individual's bank account, and then assess the financial services institution and their service to the individual.
So yet another
That's right.
angle.
So that person keeps a portion of that check and then transfers a nominal amount to this person that has made contact with them, and they keep the difference in that check. Well, several days later, that check bounces, and they're out their own personal money, which has been sent to this individual.
Okay, so you think that you're receiving money, you've received a check, but there's actually no funds attached to it.
Absolutely. One of the giveaways to that is that the check isn't associated with the individual that's calling. So it could be a stolen check, it could be a check from another unrelated business. And one recently, the person that was being targeted picked up the phone and called the company from the check that they had received, and the company had no idea that their check had been sent out.
Wow.
They called the individual back and said, well, this company knows nothing about this check. The individual sent another check from another unrelated company.
Right.
So they're crafty, Don.
It sure sounds like it. In the YRP's message just after break, Laura was talking about aggressive door-to-door salesmen. Is that something that you're seeing in the region?
Sure it is, especially this time of year. And there's a number of things that that are being targeted. Driveway sealing.
Driveway seal. Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, driveway sealing, maintenance of your property. The water heater scam continues. Basically, the message that we would like people to get is that you have to be very careful with your information, releasing your information, and giving people access to your homes. If something doesn't seem right, there's probably something to it.
If it doesn't feel right, chances are it's not.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know in our own home, the message is very simple. If we don't know you're coming, we're not entering the door. It's just that simple. There's very seldom would you not know who's actually coming into your house.
Absolutely, especially if you're not expecting some major work to be done on your house.
And we've heard of it. We've heard of the people that, somebody comes to the door, they have ID, they might be claiming to be with a gas company or a water company. I really don't see why you would feel the need to let somebody else enter your home.
No, and there's nothing wrong with closing the door to your home and doing some follow-up calls.
Right.
Close the door, be polite, and ask them just to stand by. If you are expecting somebody, or if you're not, close the door and make some follow-up calls. But there's nothing wrong with closing the door on somebody and telling them that you'd like to make some additional calls or do some additional research before you give them access to your home.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So what other kind of scams do we have going on?
Well, that's a fairly popular one that is very common and has been for a number of years, is the financial institutions' bank account frauds.
Yes. Yes.
That continues and has become a little bit easier with the tap feature associated now with credit cards and with debit cards.
Right.
If that tap.
So is that something that's still going on? We used to hear a lot about that debit cards at the bank machine, and they had some way of reading them. I'm not sure how that worked.
Yeah, that died off a little bit because of the PIN number, and people caught wind of the fact that their PIN numbers were being scammed with little cameras that were attached to the bank machines.
Oh, okay.
But now that people can activate a tap feature on their card, where they just hold their card over the
Yes.
point of sale,
Yes.
it makes it that much easier again to get a debit card or a credit card and use that tap feature.
Right.
And also with the cards themselves, they can be used online. A lot of places, they just want the
They just
CSV
need-
number on the back
Right.
and the credit card number, the expiry, and the name on the card.
Right.
If they have that information, then they can make a lot of
Yeah,
online
then
purchases.
They're free to spend, aren't they?
Absolutely, yeah.
They are absolutely free to spend. And so your role and your team, some of these must be hard to actually chase and find out who's doing what.
They are. They're very difficult done. The world has gotten to be a much smaller place with the
Right.
internet.
Yes.
And as you know, police can't police the internet. We can't
No.
enforce laws across the globe, and that's the problem. That money can make its way from right here in Georgina to anywhere across the globe in a matter of seconds.
Right.
And a lot of the time, once that money's gone, the trail to find it and get it back is virtually impossible.
Right. So it's a full-time job for you guys,
It is.
right?
It is.
Trying to stay ahead of them, and I'm sure that they work just as hard staying ahead of you.
They do. They do. And again, our major fraud unit is in charge of most of the more complex frauds,
Right.
whereas the Criminal Investigations Bureau here in Georgina takes some of the more prevalent ones, like the Canada Revenue Agency fraud that we just spoke of.
So I guess the biggest message is personal prevention. Like, people have to be vigilant for themselves.
Yeah, that's a key.
Right.
An ounce of prevention, as the saying goes, is worth a pound of cure.
Of course.
And that's never been more true than it is now with respect to the online frauds. As we said, they're very difficult once it's taken place to solve that and then to get that money back. So protect your personal identity.
Right.
Basically, that involves your name and date of birth.
Sure.
And if somebody's calling you and asking you for those particulars, there's no reason they should be asking that over the phone.
Right.
Some of the other things that people can do to protect themselves is the same thing with respect to their garbage or their personal documents. Don't throw them away. either shred them or dispose of them in some other way that
Yeah,
destroys
valid
that
point.
personal information.
Yeah, don't be leaving your name and address on the curb, right?
That's right, absolutely.
That makes perfect sense. And so some of the resources that we might offer to people.
The most readily available and the easiest to access is right here in York Region's York Regional Police. There's
Okay,
a
so
number of resources.
YRP.ca.
YRP.ca. A lot of the information that we spoke of right now is right online on YRP.ca on the Crime Prevention tab.
Okay.
And right in that tab, there's another sub-tab that relates to frauds. All this information is right in there and more.
And more's on there as well. So, and I guess we could go to Canada Revenue Agency and those kind of sites as well, right?
Yep, there's a number of other resources that people can tap into. A lot of them are online, and it's as simple as making a phone call to access those resources.
Fantastic. Kevin, thank you so much for being on the show. That's a great piece of information.
Thanks, Don.
And that wraps up this episode of Policing York Region. It's for more information on the show, rogerstv.com. For more information about York Regional Police, yrp.ca. It's been great having you. We look forward to seeing you again. Bye for now.